Okay, if you're anywhere near the crypto world right now, you know what I'm talking about. The hype it's just everywhere. You see the rocket emojis, you hear the chatter, and you get that feeling, that FOMO, that you might be missing out on something huge. It's super exciting for sure, but man, it can also be totally overwhelming. So how do you cut through all that noise? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to give you a framework to decode it all.
You've definitely seen posts like this, right? Alt season is here. It's this idea that all the cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin are about to go on an absolutely massive run. Now, this is the kind of hype that can create some serious, life-changing wealth. But let's be real, jumping in without a plan can also be a really fast way to get burned.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When the hype is just deafening and every single chart seems to be pointing straight to the moon, how do you actually find the real opportunities hidden in there? That is what we are here to figure out. We're going to break down the hype versus the reality for some of the most talked about coins on the market today.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to define alt season so we're all on the same page. Then we'll put 4 big coins under the microscope: Solana, Zcash, Sui, and XRP, and really separate the story from the stats. And finally, we'll pull it all together into a simple framework that you can use to analyze pretty much any coin out there.
All right, let's dive right in with the big one. You hear this term alt season thrown around constantly, but what does it actually mean? Seriously, understanding this cycle is the first, most crucial step to navigating it.
Here's a good way to think about it. Imagine the crypto market is this giant river, right? Most of the time, that river's current, all that money, is flowing right into Bitcoin. But then you get an alt season, and it's like the river suddenly sprouts thousands of smaller streams. All that capital starts flowing into these other projects, the altcoins. And when that flood of new money hits these smaller coins, their prices can just explode. And that is why everyone gets so incredibly excited about it.
Okay, first case study, Solana. The community has even given it this nickname, the GigaChad chain. The hype around this one, it's intense. Let's dig in.
So the story for Solana, or SOL, has a few key parts. First, its ecosystem is absolutely buzzing with activity. We're talking DeFi, NFTs, games, you name it. Second, the chart watchers are seeing really bullish signs. Third, and this is a big one, there's all this talk about a potential ETF. An ETF would make it way easier for big, traditional investors to buy in, which could mean a massive wave of new cash. And last but not least, we're seeing whales, investors with really deep pockets, buying up more and more of it.
Now, whenever you hear someone say an ecosystem is booming, the number you need to look for is total value locked, or TVL. It's actually a pretty simple concept. It's just the total amount of money users have deposited or locked into a project's apps. Think of it like a bank. The more money people put in, the more they trust it. A higher TVL is a huge vote of confidence. It's a powerful signal that the network is healthy and growing.
Okay, so let's flip the coin and do a reality check. The reality is, Solana has had some issues with network outages, where the whole system just stops. For users, that means you can't move your money, which is obviously a major problem. And that potential ETF that has everyone so hyped up, right now it's still just speculation. It's not a done deal.
But here's a hard number that really backs up some of that hype. Solana can handle about 65,000 transactions per second. I mean, to put that into perspective, Ethereum right now handles about 15. 15! This incredible speed is a fundamental reason why so many developers and users are flocking to it. It's a legitimate game changer.
All right, next up we have Zcash. And the story here is totally different. It's not about being the fastest, it's all about privacy.
The argument for Zcash is pretty straightforward. In a world where it feels like everything is tracked online, real financial privacy is becoming a really valuable thing. And Zcash offers that. This has led to a crazy price surge recently. Some analysts online are even saying it could still grow 5 to 10 times from where it is. But, always take those predictions with a grain of salt.
So what's the reality check on Zcash? The hype says privacy plus this massive price breakout equals an even bigger rally. The reality is, well, while the privacy angle is super relevant right now, the charts are suggesting it might be overextended. Plus, and this is a huge one, the very thing that makes it attractive, its privacy, also makes it a major target for regulators. That is a massive risk.
So you hear this term overextended. What does that even mean? Well, analysts often use a tool called the RSI. Honestly, you can just think of it as a hype meter. When that meter goes above 70, a little red warning light should go off in your head. It's basically saying, whoa, this thing has been bought up way too much,
way too fast. It's like a sprinter who's been going flat out and is about to run out of steam. Doesn't mean the race is over, not at all. But it's a strong signal that a cool down, a price drop, could be right around the corner.
Okay, next up is a newer project that has the community buzzing, Sui. A lot of people are calling this one a sleeping giant.
The excitement for Sui really boils down to its tech. It's built to be incredibly easy for developers to work with, which is absolutely key for attracting new apps and users. You mix that with some positive chart patterns and this general feeling that it might be undervalued compared to the big guys, and you've got yourself a perfect recipe for hype.
Time for the reality check. The hype is all about its great tech and positive sentiment. But the reality is that while its ecosystem is definitely growing, it's still way behind the leaders in that key metric we keep talking about, TVL. A lot of this high sentiment could just be good old-fashioned FOMO, fear of missing out, which can vanish just as quickly as it shows up.
And here's the number to back that up. Look, $2 billion in TVL is nothing to sneeze at. That's real money, that's real adoption, but when you put it next to a leader like Solana, which has over 10 billion, you start to see that it's just not in the same league yet. That context is so important when you hear people call it undervalued.
All right, for our last one, let's look at a coin that's been around the block but is getting a lot of fresh attention, XRP, often called the institutional favorite. XRP's whole story is about real-world use. It's not just about speculation. It's actually being used by major banks to send money across the globe, making payments faster and way cheaper. This established utility, plus the same ETF buzz we've been hearing about, leads a lot of investors to see it as one of the more stable, quote-unquote, safer plays in the wild world of altcoins.
But even with the safe bet, you gotta do a reality check. The hype is that its real-world adoption makes it a sure thing for growth. The reality is that while its utility is proven, technical charts suggest its growth might be more modest than explosive. And you guessed it, that ETF hype could be overblown, and there are still some lingering legal risks to think about.
Okay, so we've looked at 4 very different coins, but you see the pattern here, right? This is the most important part of this whole thing. It's a simple 3-step framework you can use for any crypto investment. Step 1, understand the narrative. What's the exciting story everyone is telling? Step 2, check the data. Do the numbers, like TVL or RSI, actually support that story? And step 3, acknowledge the risks. What's the absolute worst-case scenario that could derail everything?
And here's what that framework looks like all laid out. This little table puts everything we just talked about on one page. For each coin, you've got the story, the biggest risk, and a key number that helps keep you grounded in reality. Whether it's Solana's insane transaction speed, Zcash's high RSI, Sui's TVL, or XRP's payment volume. This is how you start to think like an analyst instead of just another speculator.
Look, the crypto market moves at lightning speed, and the next big hyped-up story is always just around the corner. But the difference is, now you have a tool. You have a way to look past all the noise and find the real signal. So the question isn't just, what coin should I buy next? It's, how are you going to apply this framework to your own research? What will you investigate next?